With regard to my work at Dickinson, I care deeply about three things. I'm going to list them, but there's really no order to the lists. I care deeply about all of them and they're all intertwined. First, I care deeply about the natural environment. Second, about business as a force for good in our world. And third, about the success of our students. With regard to the first, most of my students, or many of my students, know that my PhD is in strategic management and international business, but then my undergraduate is in geology and environmental studies. So right out of college, I worked as an environmental scientist. I worked as a marketing consultant for an environmental consulting firm before going back and getting my PhD in business. So what's cool for me about Dickinson is that I can really combine these two interests. For example, in my research and in my courses, like teaching business and climate change is just so much fun for me, and I hope I make it fun and worthwhile for my students. Second, I am really drawn to business because of the power of business, and specifically the power of business to shape our world in really positive ways. I'm inspired when I see how businesses lift up people, operate in ways that are mindful of the natural environment, and use their creativity and their innovation processes to really make positive change in our world. And I try very much to communicate that to students in our classes. Third, the success of our students. Dickinson is a great place to work because of the opportunity it gives faculty to work so closely with our students. There is nothing more rewarding than nurturing our students and watching them grow. So, for example, one of my favorite experiences is when I teach the IB&M Senior Seminar, and I have students that I had previously in IB&M 100, The Fundamentals of Business, and to see how far they've come through our program and through their own personal growth, it's like a full circle moment, and I love every time I get to experience that. But for all students that I work with, whenever they tackle something hard or challenging and I can help them in any way and they succeed, that's just really inspiring and energizing for me. I just love that. Here's one small example. A couple years ago, one of my seniors just dropped by my office. He was headed out for a job interview for a job he really, really wanted, and a job he was really, really well qualified for. He just needed a couple more words to kind of get him centered, to give him a little more confidence. So he just stopped by for a couple minutes. We chatted a couple minutes. He left, went to his interview. The next morning when I walked into the office and opened my door, there was a note on the floor, just a handwritten little note on a scrap of paper, 4 words that said, "I got the job." It was just so exciting, and I was so happy for him. And I posted the note on my bulletin board, and it's still there. And every time I look at it, it reminds me of how good our college can be, and hopefully in some small way I can be in helping our students launch their future. So that's my story in a nutshell.